This video is on submission of information of remittance outside India in Form 15CA and Form 15CB. Form 15CA is required to be submitted before making remittance outside India to a non-resident or to a foreign company. It is a certification of tax deduction at source which is required to be filed in Form 15CA. In some cases, the certificate from Chartered Accountant in Form 15CB is required to be filed along with Form 15CA online. Form 15CA can be filed by any category of taxpayer, authorized signatory or representative assessee. CA can issue a certificate of foreign remittance outside India and tax deducted at source in Form 15CB. In order to file Form 15CA, the taxpayer is required to be a registered user of the e-filing portal with valid user ID and password and should have an active PAN. In order to file Form 15CB, the Chartered Accountant is required to log in through the CA login and the taxpayer is required to have the ARN of Form 15CB, which is filed by Chartered Accountant, in order to file Part C of Form 15CA if applicable. To understand the applicability of 4 parts of Form 15CA and Form 15CB, please check whether the amount of remittance is chargeable to income tax. If the amount of remittance is chargeable to income tax and the amount is less than Rs 5 lakhs during a particular financial year, Part A of Form 15CA is required to be filed. Form 15CB will not be applicable. If the amount is more than Rs 5 lakhs and it is chargeable to income tax, please check whether an order or a certificate from an assessing officer has been obtained. If the order has been obtained, then Part B of Form 15CA will be applicable. Form 15CB will not be applicable. However, if the amount of remittance is chargeable to income tax, it is more than Rs 5 lakhs and the order from the assessing officer has not been obtained, Part C of Form 15CA will be applicable and it is required to be filed along with a certificate from Chartered Accountant in Form 15CB. Where the amount of remittance is not chargeable to income tax, please check whether it is specifically excluded under Rule 37BB Clause 3. If yes, then filing of Form 15CA or Form 15CB will not be applicable. If the amount is not excluded under Rule 37BB3, in that case, Part D of Form 15CA will be applicable and Form 15CB will not be applicable where the remittance is not chargeable to income tax. Let us look at the information which is required to be submitted in Part A. We have already seen that Part A is applicable where the amount of remittance is not more than Rs 5 lakhs during the financial year. In that case, details of remitter, remittee and remittance details are entered. The form is required to be verified by the person submitting Form 15CA. Part B will be applicable where the amount of remittance is more than Rs 5 lakhs during a financial year and an order has been obtained from the assessing officer. Here, the taxpayer is required to enter the details of the remitter, remittee and the details of the order which has been received from the assessing officer along with the remittance details. It also requires the verification from the person submitting the form. Part C, as has already been discussed, is applicable where the aggregate of such remittances is more than Rs 5 lakhs during a financial year and the certificate from the assessing officer has not been obtained. Here, an additional certification from a Chartered Accountant in Form 15CB will also become applicable. In this particular case, along with the remittee and the remittance details, the details of the Chartered Accountant is also required to be submitted along with the required documents. Coming to the information which is required to be submitted in Part D, here it is applicable where the remittance is not chargeable to tax and the payment is not specifically excluded in Rule 37BB. Please enter the details of the remitter, remittee and remittance. Again, this form is also required to be verified from the person who is submitting the form. Form 15CA and Form 15CB can be submitted through the online mode or through the offline mode. There is also a functionality for bulk filing of Form 15CA. Let us now look at how do we submit Part A, B and D of Form 15CA through the online mode. In order to file the form through the online mode, the taxpayer is required to log into the e-filing portal using the user ID and password. On the dashboard, the taxpayer is required to click on e-file and go to income tax forms and then click file income tax forms. On the File Income Tax Forms page, the taxpayer is required to select Form 15CA. Alternatively, the taxpayer can enter Form 15CA in the search box to file the form. Reaching Form 15CA, the taxpayer is required to click on Let's Get Started. On the click of Let's Get Started, Form 15CA will be displayed. The taxpayer can select the applicable part and fill in all the required details as applicable. After filling the details in different parts of Form 15CA as applicable, the taxpayer can click on Proceed button. The taxpayer can access the preview page, verify the details and then proceed to E-Verify. Click Yes to submit. After successful e-verification, the form will be submitted with a success message along with the transaction ID and acknowledgement receipt number. The taxpayer is advised to keep a note of the transaction ID and acknowledgement receipt number for future reference. Now let us look at how do we submit Part C of Form 15CA and Form 15CB through the online mode. In order to submit Form 15CB, the taxpayer has to first assign the Form 15CB to a chartered accountant. So first of all, the taxpayer will log into the online portal and go to Authorize Partner tab. Click on My CA and add the details of the chartered accountant and click on Confirm button. If the chartered accountant is already added, then the taxpayer can go to the My CA functionality and click on Assign Form and then add the form by selecting Form 15CB and Financial Year from the drop-down menu. Once the form will be added, a communication will be sent to the chartered accountant and then the chartered accountant has to file Form 15CB under his or her login. Chartered accountant is required to log into the e-filing portal using the valid CA credentials. Click on e-file menu and reach income tax forms. In the income tax forms, the chartered accountant can click on Form 15CB and then click on File Now. Select the financial year and submission mode of filing and then click on Let's Get Started. The chartered accountant is required to enter the PAN or TAN details of the taxpayer and then provide details of each section, which includes certification, remedy details, remittance details, and taxability under the Income Tax Act with or without DTAA relief. The chartered accountant can see the preview and click on Proceed to E-Verify. Click Yes to proceed to E-Verify. The chartered accountant can enter the unique identification number. If the UDIN is not available, then the chartered accountant can select the option I do not have UDIN, I will update UDIN later. The chartered accountant can then select the suitable e-verification option and e-verify. After successful e-verification, a success message will be displayed along with the transaction ID and acknowledgement receipt number. The chartered accountant is required to take a note of the transaction ID and acknowledgement receipt number, which is to be shared with the taxpayer. In order to now file Part C of Form 15CA, the taxpayer is required to log into the e-filing portal using the user ID and password. On the taxpayer's dashboard, click on E-File, go to Income Tax Forms and click File Income Tax Forms. On the File Income Tax Forms page, the taxpayer can click on Form 15CA. Alternatively, the taxpayer can enter Form 15CA in the search box to fill the form. On the instructions page of Form 15CA, the taxpayer can click on Let's Get Started and choose Part C of the form and click on Proceed button. The taxpayer has to now enter the ARN number of Form 15CB, which it has received from the chartered accountant. Please note that only one Form 15CB ARN can be used for filing one Form 15CA Part C. The taxpayer is required to confirm each section of Part C and then click Yes to submit Form 15CA after filling the relevant details. After successful e-verification, a success message will be displayed along with the transaction ID and an acknowledgement number. Now let us look at how do we file Form 15CA through the offline or the bulk mode. In order to file the form in offline or the bulk mode, the taxpayer is required to select offline or bulk mode. The PAN and TAN of the assessee will be auto-populated. The taxpayer is required to provide the financial year, filing type, and of course need to select the submission mode as offline or bulk. The taxpayer can download the Form 15CA offline utility. Alternatively, the utility can also be downloaded from the download section of the home page. The taxpayer is now required to prepare individual XMLs for remitter, remitee, and CA combination. Taxpayer can then create a zip for a single or multiple XMLs. In case of Part C, the taxpayer has to import XML of Form 15CB, which has been submitted by the Chartered Accountant. After preparing the files, the taxpayer can click on Attach File to attach the zip folder of the XML files. Thereafter, the taxpayer is required to e-verify, and you can always refer to How to E-Verify User Manual to know more. On successful e-verification, a success message is displayed along with transaction ID and an acknowledgement receipt number. The taxpayer is advised to keep a note of the same for future reference. When bulk upload is going to be successful, an acknowledgement number is generated for each Form 15CA. In order to download the PDF, the taxpayer can click on e-file and go to Income Tax Forms and thereby click View File Forms. Downloadable PDF of Form 15CA will be made available in this particular option. Now let us discuss some of the frequently asked questions on Form 15CA and Form 15CB. Is it mandatory to submit Form 15CB? No, it is not mandatory to submit Form 15CB. Form 15CB is applicable only if you are filing Part C of Form 15CA. Can Form 15CA be withdrawn? No, there is no option to withdraw Form 15CA. In case there is any change in the information, you can file a fresh Form 15CA. Filing Form 15CA and Form 15CB is very easy. In case you want to know more about the same, you can always visit us on